Your Holiness, I seek blessings for a friend of mine who could not make it here, Nihal. The question is, you talked about human beings are logical, but at times in decision making, I feel as if I'm in a conflict between my logic and my instinct. My mind calculates and say, do this, but my heart's, the inner call inside me, asks me to do something else. Who should I listen to?
그래서 타자가 네. So, yes, there are sort of human actions without a reason. Just as a touch here and put here, like that. And physically feel thirst. I want to. This, without analytical meditation. If you analyze analytical meditation, put here, silly. But the consequences also not that much serious. Any action which consequences is more serious, more larger, these things usually not come that kind of automatically. But firstly, you develop desire, then motivation. And often, you see, wrongdoing carried with certain motivation. That motivation drives by desire, one-sided desire, short-sighted. Of course, when you have some kind of disagreement, if you use harsh word and if necessary, a little bit physical action, you get satisfaction. But very short-sighted, too much emotion. Without thinking, if I use harsh word, what imprint in the other person's mind? That may remain months, years. Disagreement there, but you solve or accept half their viewpoint, half your own viewpoint, compromise, dialogue. No longer any long-term negative consequences. Like that. Immediate, spontaneous emotion, most cases negative, short-sighted. Thinking, analyze, then certain motivation. This motivation is valid basis. Strong motivation about concern of others' well-being. Strong sort of compassionate feeling. Through training. You see, these then at reach certain level, it become emotion. But with solid basis. Through training. Not come automatically or spontaneous. Anger, hatred, these basically come from spontaneous. So here, I think according ancient Indian sort of literature, they detailed explanation about chit or mind. Then within mind, there are different level of mind. And Buddhism also, a lot of information. So that's why, as far as inner science is concerned, Western science, modern science, very limited, their knowledge. So last 30 years, more than 30 years, you see, as a result of our dialogue with modern scientists, now 30 years, interest among the scientists much increased. And we also find extremely useful to learn from modern scientific sort of perspective about particles, although the Hindu tradition also mentioned about atoms and particles, and Buddhists as well. But further sort of explanation, deeper understanding, deeper analyze the modern, like such as quantum physics. Essentially, very similar mathematical philosophical viewpoint and quantum physics, very similar. Many similarities, like that. So we have plenty of sort of resources about mind. So with these ancient literature and scientific sort of research, through research of brain or genes, through that way they pinpoint, because the pinpoint solver, they calculate about emotion, like that. I often, you see, teasing some of these scientists, because they say they found the certain part of the brain, I can't remember the name, when we suffering oneself, overwhelming suffering at some place, one place, no, not in Midway, I think somewhere, you see, some part of the brain more active. The same area, when we develop serious sort of concern about others' well-being, the same place, the activity, same place. So I jokingly told them, oh, then in that case, our brain is so foolish. The motivation level, one, the mental level, one, you see, very much out of concern about others' well-being. So at that moment, mental level, full of self-confidence, full strength, and on that basis, you see, taking serious care about others' well-being. Other, just overwhelming your own suffering, pain, so because of the hopelessness, helplessness, some kind of loss. The other one, full of strength, taking care, being sort of concerned about others' well-being. So mental level, vast differences, but physical reaction, brain level, same area. So poor brain, no ability to distinction. Well, what's the mental level? Then jokingly, you see, often you see telling people, now one our own common experience, when we overjoy, sometimes tear come, isn't it? Sometimes too much pain, again you see tear come. But poor eye, no ability to distinction. So if I quite sort of smart, then tear come out of overjoy, then tear must come this side. Or too much out of pain, tear come then this side. Then I have some ability to distinction. That's not the case. So explanation about mind through brain examination, difficult. Brain level, very rough, gross. Mind, much more sort of sophisticated. So now the scientists also, you see, now begin to, because of that, realize they are lacking there. So further investigation. Now actually, Wisconsin University, the great scientist, Richard Davidson. Now, this year, when I visit Wisconsin University, you see, he actually now start one project about special sort of study, research work about these matters, like that. Yes. Go the land this way.
Are you satisfied?
Okay. Yes.
Sir, how do you prevent religion from...
Then I think conclusion, I think I may add the, generally speaking, any positive because of constructive, positive emotion usually come through reason, training of mind. Those emotions which come spontaneous, generally speaking, destructive emotion.
So how to prevent religion from
Huh?
orthodoxy?
Kasa?
Religion from orthodoxy.
Ka? I think as far as my own religion is concerned, that's of course Buddhism in general, particularly Nalanda tradition. I think you may know those top masters of Nalanda. They never accept Buddha's own word. They accept only after the investigation, analyze what's the meaning of Buddha's particular word. So therefore, Changeni Tashishmei Mini said,
It is on this basis that even the teachings of the Buddha, they are divided into two categories. One which is interpretable and the other which is definitive, which can be accepted on a face value, on the other which needs to be interpreted.
so therefore, as far as the follower of Nalanda tradition is concerned, no problem. But then, of course, different, like even within Buddhism, you see some tradition, of course, totally relying on Buddha's word or tradition. Just let them carry their own way. So I think we have no right, you see, to interfere in their sort of way of practice. This is my feeling, my view. Of course, sometimes from the Buddhist viewpoint, now I think, frankly speaking, the concept of God, creator, Buddhist viewpoint, like Dignac, great logician, and also the Dharmakirti, and also the Shantadeva. You see, in their writing, they made clear contradictions about that concept. So I know that, but I always respect the concept of creator because it benefits to millions of people. So really worthwhile to respect. So, like that, you see, some cases, some traditions, this 1,000-year-old tradition, some cases may not be a little bit because of that, relevant to today's world, but that's just beyond our sort of what's the day, beyond our sort of that.
So we cannot really judge.
Yes.
We cannot really judge on the basis of their appearance. So the better to keep it as it is.